Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Yang diraikan penceramah kita pada pagi ini Puan Aisyah Amirah binti Zainal Abidin, Pensyarah Fakulti Pendidikan Universiti Islam Selangor, para pensyarah, para dosen dari Universiti Islam Selangor dan juga UIK Bogor Indonesia, para mahasiswa, mahasiswi, hadirin dan hadirat yang dikasihi sekalian. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Let me introduce myself in English here. I am Puan Suziana Hanini binti Sulaiman, the head of program for Masters in Education, Language Education from Universiti Islam Selangor. Would like to express my gratitude for being able to be with all of you virtually in this knowledge sharing session, which is called Perkongsian Pascasiswazah 3, Program Mobility Outbound Pascasiswazah 2025. So on this Friday morning, which is full with barakah, Alhamdulillah, we have with us Puan Aisyah Amirah Zainal Abidin to share her experience in academic writing through her sharing entitled Beyond the Blank Page, Conquering Academic Writing. Okay, so before I pass over the floor to Puan Aisyah, I would like to gladly share her experience, okay, or her academic background. So Puan Aisyah Amirah has completed her first degree in Universiti Teknologi Malaysia in Bachelor in Education, TESOL, and further second degree in Universiti Putra Malaysia in Masters in Applied Linguistics. Okay, and now she's doing her doctoral degree in Universiti Putra Malaysia. Alright, so without further delay, please welcome Puan Aisyah Amirah, okay, to deliver her sharing. Okay, so it's all yours, Puan Aisyah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First and foremost, thank you, Puan Suziana, for initiating and starting the session for today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to fellow colleagues who are here in this session, as well as postgraduate students from UIS and also from UIK, I'm not sure how I pronounce it, Universitas Ibn Khaldun from Bogor. Okay, so inshallah for today's session, we are going to conduct it in English because I was informed that it can be done in English. So moving forward, if this is specifically to students, okay, specifically to students, if you do find things a bit heavy or things a bit confusing, just please let me know in the chat section down below there. The way I'm going to conduct this session is it will be interactive in a way that I would expect participations from the participants, either fellow colleagues if you want to, and students alike as well. So instead of me talking by myself, I would also like your responses in terms of writing in the later part of this presentation, inshallah. Okay, so I'm going to start. Let me just share something, my slide. Okay, Bismillah. Okay, can everyone see it?
Yes, Puan.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to start by sharing a quote here. So it says here, almost all good writing begins with terrible first efforts. And it says that you need to start somewhere. So this is by Anne Lamott, an American writer and a poet as well. So academic writing is something that can look complicated, huge, difficult to address and so on. But it will start from something that is small, okay? So I just want to inform the expectation for today's workshop. We will go into the very basic, which means we are trying to look at things from a small perspective, and we will build it up into something that is bigger. So if my fellow colleagues who are here, I believe this will be something that you already know and maybe you yourself have taught with your students. So just take this as something as a refresher to things that you already know. Okay, so this will be the topic today, and as introduced by Madam Suzy, and I am Aisyah Amirah and Abidin from Department of Language Education, Faculty of Education, UIS, and I'm majoring specifically in TESOL, teaching English as a second language. But academic writing is something that is part of the skills that I have. I'm teaching it to the students, and we have students who are doing thesis and so on. So these are part of the skills that we should have. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick poll. So everyone must be involved in this, my colleague as well. So it'll be great if you can turn on your camera so that I can see your faces instead of just, I don't know, alphabet of your name. So if you can turn on your camera, that would be great so that we can see each other. Can you do so? Okay, thank you. I can see Muhammad Shahril. How about the others? Can I see your faces as well? Okay. Okay, thank you for those who have turned on their camera. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick poll. You need to write your response in the link or QR in the next slide. Okay, okay, let's see. Let me just. Okay, for you to join this poll, you can either look at the QR and go to the link there, or you can go into slido.com and key in the number there, 6121-409. Okay, 6121-409. You can join the poll using the link there, slido.com, or you can also look at the QR and you can enter using the QR. So the question here is, what word comes to your mind? One word, okay, when you think about English academic writing. What word comes to your mind when you think about English academic writing? Sorry, excuse me. So I'm going to give you a few minutes just to write your answer. Okay, I can see about 4 or 5 students who have written. So the words include difficult, improve, journal, thesis, yes. Thesis is something that comes to our mind when we talk about English academic writing. Okay, so I'm going to wait a bit more. Scopus, okay. Okay, let's wait a bit for the others to write. Okay, anyone writing? So, okay, so here, okay, I'm gonna wait a bit. International, okay. So when you hear the word English academic writing, you think about this word. These are things that comes to your mind. So most of this are something that related to the things that postgraduate students need to address. Okay, the issues to be written. Okay, yes. Okay, any other writing in the poll? Okay, so it is quite broad in terms of what comes to your mind when it comes to English for academic writing. Broad as in the scope covers so many aspects of postgraduate life, one. And number two, it also covers areas of postgraduate research in general. So there are so many parts of postgraduate research that requires academic writing. So I think these are the components that you have written there. Let's see, I think one participant is still typing. You can wait. So plagiarism. Okay, yes, plagiarism. Okay, I think that's about it. Okay, so I'm just gonna read back the words written there. So you have written about improve. I believe you want to improve it. Journal could be maybe you want to read it, maybe you want to publish into it. Scopus is research journal which uses a very high level of academic writing. International, which means English for academic writing, is of course for the publication of papers in international setting. Issues to be written, which means putting down words, putting down thoughts into words and sentences. Abstract, and there is the word difficult, and there is the word research, and there is the word plagiarism. Okay, so thank you everyone for writing in here. Okay, so maybe a few more just join. International research report. What else there? I think that is all. Okay, so please bear in mind, our workshop today is not for the purpose of addressing all issues of academic writing. We will not be able to do so, okay? So just to meet your expectations, so today's workshop will go into the very basics of academic writing. When you get the basics right, you can build it up into something more complicated. So all of those parts that you write there, we will not be able to cover it in just these 2 hours of workshop. So you need specific workshop to cover each components of all of that you have written. But I'm going to be covering a few of that, inshallah. Okay. So for today, this will be the objectives for today. There will be 3 things. I'm going to talk about what is academic writing in its very basic. 2, we are going to look at constructing better paragraph. And 3, we are going to look at using sources correctly. Okay, so again, all of this component will not be extensive, will not be exhaustive in terms of the content of it, because again, this knowledge on academic writing is very broad. So we're just going to try to compress it into something that we can discuss just for today. Okay, so these are the 3 things that we're going to do today, hopefully, inshallah, because you need to do things as well. So it's going to be interactive, inshallah. Okay, so firstly, what is academic writing? What do you understand of academic writing? Is it the same as what I understand, or is it something different than the one that you have understand? Have you heard about it? Maybe you hear someone talk about it. Maybe you have, of course, you have read it. But what is it really? What is it really? What does it mean? Have anyone told you anything about this? Okay, so academic writing can be summed up as formal, evidence-based, logical style of writing used to share knowledge and research within a scholarly community, emphasizing clear arguments supported by credible sources as well as precise language. So this is academic writing. So writing will have multiple genres. We have creative writing, social media writing, and so many others. But academic writing stands by itself, a format or a genre by itself. So this is what academic writing is. And academic writing can be characterized by this. Okay, academic writing can be characterized by this. It is structured, it is evidenced, it is critical, it is balanced, it is precise, it is subjective, and it is formal. Okay, so academic writing is something that needs to be learned by itself. You can learn writing for other genres, creative writing, pleasure writing, article writing, and so on, but you also need to be taught academic writing by itself, because it is a field by itself. Okay, so I'm just going to go one by one on this. Okay, firstly, it is structured because academic writing will follow a certain structure determined by the genre. So you mentioned just now about research report, you mentioned about scopus, you mentioned about journal. So all of those things that you mentioned just now is a structure by itself. It comes with its own format, it comes with its own characteristic, it comes with its own expectation. Okay, so that is why academic writing is considered structured. You cannot just write according to how you write. Okay, there must be, you must follow a certain structure that is very clear. And this structure depends on where you are writing. So if you're writing thesis, you need to depend on your university's format. If you're writing assignments or coursework project within your courses that you're taking, so you must follow that format. And before writing anything, you must understand the structures that you are writing it to. Okay, so the writing should be coherent with logical progression throughout and cohesive with different parts of the writing clearly connected, which means there is a continuity between what you are writing from the start until the finish. So it must be cohesive, which means it blends very well together to make it into something that is a whole. Okay, and careful planning before writing is essential to ensure that the final product will be well structured with a clear focus and logical progression of ideas. So academic writing is first structured, which means careful planning is needed. So you must have a preparation in terms of knowing the structures of the things that you are writing. So now I believe for all of you postgraduate students, the thing that you are writing now is your thesis. Okay, so we can use thesis as an example of a writing genre, a type of writing. So we must know the structure of a thesis, the components of it, the chapters of it, and the subtopics within it, the arrangement, the formatting, and so on. So this we need to know first before we start the writing process. Okay, second, it must be evidence. Of course, we are living in a scholarly environment, so what we say must be backed up by evidence. We cannot just say things according to how we feel. It must be proven with evidence, okay? Opinions and arguments in academic writing should be supported by evidence, and evidence here depends on the idea that you are presenting. So this evidence will be in terms of how you cite other people's idea. So citation technique, citation method is a skill that you need to develop by yourself, okay, or maybe in a different workshop altogether. So basically what you said should be evidence, but there is a caveat here, okay? Not everything that you say must be evidence, which means you still have a voice within your writing. If everything written is based on other people's work, where is yours? So there must be part of the writing which is yours, and there will be part of the writing which is supported by the evidence. Okay, so sometimes students forgot this. So when they are writing, they just compile everything into a paragraph and they're done. And when I read the paragraph, it feels like it is a jumbled up mismatch of other people's work jumbled together and presented into a form of paragraph. So I think that is wrong. Evidence is yes, one part, but voice of the students must be in there as well. Okay, so the writing must be based on information from expert, important for reference information appropriately, use in text citations as well as reference sections. So this is another skill set that needs to be developed by the students. Okay, next, it must be critical. Okay, it must be critical. Academic writing does more than just this. Okay, so next one. Okay, sorry for the interruptions. Okay, so next, critical. So your academic writing should be critical. It does more than just describe. Academic writing should in fact should not simply accept everything that you read as a fact, and you need to analyze, evaluate the information you are writing about. In other words, make judgments about it before you decide whether and how to integrate into your own writing. So this is known as critical thinking. So this is the part which is expected of postgraduate student the most. How you deliver your ideas in your sentences, in your paragraph, so that it come across as critical. It come across as a process of synthesizing, a process of analyzing a certain point. Okay, and this is, I think, the most difficult one when it comes to academic writing, because a few things that you need to understand about academic writing. So academic writing is not end product. Academic writing is not producing a piece of paper on writing. So academic writing is a process, which means if you want to write academic writing, it comes with the thinking before you can produce something. So in other words, academic writing is actually thinking. So writing is actually a thinking process, okay? So critical thinking requires a great deal of research, a great deal of understanding, a great deal of discussion and deep understanding of a topic for you to be able to come up with one single ideas. And this is what is expected of you as a postgraduate student, okay? So, and this is something that requires time, patience, as well as practice for you to develop this kind of skill. And this cannot be bypassed by anything. Okay, so I'm going to talk a bit about LLM, large language model, or AI, so that we can talk about it a bit as well at the end of it, inshallah. Okay, another criteria of academic writing is balanced, which means it should be balanced in terms of giving consideration to all sides of the issue and avoiding bias. Okay, sometimes when we write, we like to find sources which agree with the ideas that we have in mind, and we don't include sources which disagree with things that we have in mind. Partly could be because we are afraid that our ideas might be challenged. Okay, sorry. Can I pause a bit? I need to drink some water.
No problem, Puan Aisyah. Carry on.
Okay, sorry. I have a bit of a sore throat. So macam you feel like tekak ni kena garu, right? Sorry if I do batuk in the middle of it. So I'm trying to try to reduce it if possible. Okay, so this one is on balance, which means in your academic writing it must be balanced. So you need to show where you stand, and you also need to bring in the other point of view. So you can use this by doing hedges. Okay, so hedges, example of hedges, it could be evidence suggest. This could be caused by or booster, okay, such as clearly or the research indicates and so on. So we're going to go into this, don't worry. Okay, so next, academic writing should be precise. In terms of, it must use a clear and precise language to ensure reader understand the meaning, which means usage of a lot of technical or subject-specific vocabulary within the field of your study. In this field of study, you are allowed to use as many technical specific vocabulary as possible. You are encouraged even, because this allows for you to be precise in the idea that you are presenting. Okay, and you can do this because the reader of your work will be scholars from your field as well, so you need to do that. Okay, next, objective. So objective here is emphasis is on the argument and the information rather than on the writer, which means the writer is almost invisible in the writing, and the writer is given back seat, which means you are presenting your argument, yes, but the idea takes center stage in your writing instead of you. So that is why in academic writing tends to use noun and noun phrases more than verb and adverbs. And it also tends to use passive structure. Passive structure is where, example there, the water was heated. So that is passive structure, rather than I heated the water. So you don't have subject. We don't say I or me or things like that in academic writing. And another one, it is formal. Okay, so academic writing is formal than everyday writing, which means casual communication, casual conversational way of speaking English does not work in academic writing. So that is a different way of doing things altogether. So academic writing use longer words and more complex sentences, while avoiding contractions and colloquial or informal words or expression that might be common in spoken English. So if you are very good in your speaking, it will not be translated well into your writing, because academic writing uses a different register from speaking. So you can't write like how you speak. So you must learn the formal equivalent of the word that you are speaking in daily life or in daily conversation with your colleagues. Okay, so there are words and collocation which are used in academic writing more frequently than in non-academic writing, and there are a lot of tools available online. Academic phrase bank, maybe you can use websites that help you with academic writing, so they will provide you with a list of words to change from idea that you have, which is informal, into a more formal one. Okay, so all of this are the characteristic of academic writing. So it is structured, it is evidence, it is balanced, it is critical, it is objective, and it is also formal. Okay, so keep this in mind when you are starting out on your academic writing. Okay, so now, okay, so here I would expect postgraduate students here. There are a lot I see here. A few. So colleagues can join in as well. So I'm going to give you some sentences, and I want you to change it to make it more formal. Can you do that? Can you do that, everyone? Especially students here? Okay, I'm gonna expect you can. Okay, let me just go to the next slide. Okay, so these are the three sentences. Okay, so these three sentences contain ideas. Yes, it does contain ideas, but it is written in a way that is not formal. Okay, it looks like spoken English, but it is not suitable to be written in academic English writing. Okay, so the first one, the results were kind of weird and the scientists couldn't really figure it out. Okay, number two, I think lots of students don't get enough sleep and it's bad for them. Okay, number three, this new approach is way better than the last one. I think lots of people. Okay, so I think there is typo there. This new approach is way better than the last one. Okay, so just remove the sentence at the end there. So there are three sentences here. The results were kind of weird and the scientists couldn't really figure it out. Number two, I think lots of students don't get enough sleep and it's bad for them. And number three, this new approach is way better than the last one. Okay, I think I've added there by accident. So there are three sentences here. Okay, can you copy it down for the students? Can you copy this down somewhere? Okay, if you have copied down the sentences, can you just raise your hand? Can you raise your hand if you have copied down the sentences? Okay, thank you, Cheryl, for responding. Okay, how about the others? I'm going to wait a bit before moving to the activity. How about the others? Have you copied down? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Shifa. Okay, maybe colleagues as well, if you have written down the sentences. If you want to raise your hand, you can do so as well. Okay, so if you have written the sentences, I'm going to try to change it to make it more formal. Okay. So write your new sentence below. Okay, so there are three sentences given just now. I would like you to write the sentences in this active poll. You can join the poll based on the one that you did previously, so the same. So I would like you to write your sentences there. So fellow colleagues, if you want to join, you are most welcome. You'll be a good examples. Okay. The findings were unexpected and researchers were unable to determine a clear explanation. Okay. Right, so I'm going to wait a bit for maybe the others to write, to change the sentences to make it more formal. Okay, we only have one sample here. If the others can write in your sentences, that would be great. Okay, I'm just going to wait a bit because previously there is a few people typing. Okay, thank you. So all the writings are considered anonymous, so I do not know who actually written that, but it's okay. So the results could not be identified by the scientists due to the ambiguous findings. Okay. Okay, anyone else writing your answer in the poll? Any other students writing your answers? Okay, so if there's none, then I think we can proceed. Okay, so originally the sentence, the original sentence. Okay, so someone is typing. Okay, so I'm going to wait. Okay, very good. Okay, so there are 3 sentences here that change the original sentence given, which is conversational in tone, and it is changed into a more formal setting. Okay, so the first one, the one in the bottom, the findings were unexpected and researchers were unable to determine a clear explanation. Okay, so this is good, very good. The second one, the results could not be identified by the scientist due to the ambiguous findings. Okay, so for the second one, usually the role of the researcher is used not specific, which means we don't refer to the researcher as scientist or like as engineers and so on. So we use a blanket term as researcher, okay? Or maybe some context you can say the scientist, but usually we just mention the author of the writer or the writer as, or the researcher as researcher. So next, the results were anomalous. Okay, that's a very good word. And researchers were unable to determine the underlying causes. So the word anomalous is specific to the study, and it is very precise. So that is very good. Okay, maybe I'm going to show you a sample. Let me just, sorry. Here, sample sentences based on the sentences earlier. So number 1, the original sentence is written as weird. Okay, so the result is weird and scientists do not know how and so on. So we don't just say weird. So there's no such thing as weird in academic writing. So yes, things that we found can be considered as weird, but we don't write it as such. Okay, so example here, the results were inconclusive and the researchers were unable to determine the cause. Okay, so I think you also do this just now, which is good. Some of you did this. The second one, sleep deprivation appears to be a prevalent issue among students with potential negative health consequences. And the third one, this new software offers significant performance improvements compared to the previous version. Okay, so all of this is using the format of academic writing in terms of the formality of the sentence. So this is a very good example to change academic writing from informal way into a more formal way. Okay, so that's the first part on what is academic writing. This is a very simplistic way to go into this, but I think it is still okay, because if you go too deeper into it, we need like a face-to-face session and exercises and activities for this one. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the second part of the workshop, inshallah. So second part, we're going to talk about constructing better paragraph. Constructing better paragraph. Okay, so here, paragraph in academic writing is the very foundation of academic writing. So academic writing, despite its structures, despite its content and so on, will consist of paragraph. Okay, so you're going to deliver your ideas in paragraph. You're going to state your points in paragraph. So paragraph is the very basis of your academic writing. So you need to be able to structure it in a way that it is clear, it is structured, it is compact, it follows evidence and so on and so forth. So all of this will require you to understand how paragraph is written. Okay, so to teach you how to start, because when we want to write, we don't know what to write. You know, nak tulis apa, right? Nak tulis apa ni? So how do you look at the blank page and how do you start writing? Yes, you're going to have components, you're going to have subsections and so on, but how do you start? So you might get stumped because of that. So by using a peel method, it allows you to structure your thoughts into something that is more manageable. Okay, so academic writing is extensive, it is broad, it is complicated, but those complicated parts can be broken down into one single unit, which is paragraph. And today we're going to use the PEEL method, P-E-E-L method. Okay, so what is PEEL method? So PEEL method is an acronym for point, evidence, explanation, and link. Point, evidence, explanation, and link. Okay, so this PEEL method is applicable across different fields. It can be adapted into whatever field of study that you are writing, whatever genres that you are writing, which means the basic idea is PEEL, but it can be adjusted, it can be arranged to fit different genres of writing. It can be journal writing, it can be your thesis writing, it can be your report writing even if you want. Okay, so PEEL allows you to think in a strategic way, in a structured way. Okay, so what do I mean by all of this? Okay, so point, you're starting your paragraph with point. This is your topic sentence. It makes one clear point or claim. It is the what of your paragraph. Okay, so if you are reading thesis, if you are reading article in a journal, if you are reading whatever reading materials in different genres, you will always find one single idea in one single paragraph. If it is a good reading article, you will be able to see it like that. Okay, so if you are reading an article, so reading a research article, the way you're going to read it, you need to find the topic in that paragraph, and usually it contains one. So a good article will have one point in one single paragraph, either short or long, it doesn't matter. It will usually contain just one idea. Okay, so if the author is a very prolific academic writer, he or she will be writing it according to like one point for one single paragraph. So this topic sentence will allow you to make one clear point or claim. It is the what of your paragraph. Okay, so this topic sentence is what hold and what deliver the idea in your paragraph. So a few tips: if you are writing an article, if you're writing your thesis and you have a section of your thesis that you want to write something about and you don't know what to start, just write the topic sentence first. You can add on the parts later. So each topic sentence will be expanded into paragraph with ideas that you're going to add in, with explanation that you're going to add in, with evidence and so on. So all of these topic sentences will be built up and expanded and becomes longer. And later on, you can do the editing part. You can look at the mechanics of the writing. You're going to look at the cohesiveness of the writing and so on. But the very basic is this idea, the point that you are trying to make. Okay. And the point that you're trying to make here should be coming from you. Okay, so this is your voice. Okay, in your paragraph, in your starting part of the paragraph, it should come from you, which means this is where your voice is heard in your academic writing. So when you're writing your thesis, in any parts of the thesis, it can be if you're doing your findings, especially if you're doing your findings. So the point of that paragraph will be where your ideas are stringed and presented for the reader, which is your supervisor, which is the supervisory committee or thesis committee and so on. So this is very important, the what of your paragraph. And this is something that you have to refine and something you have to build as part of your voice for postgraduate students. Okay, so that's the first one. That's the first P. The second one is E, okay, or E for evidence. So here, this is how you support your point. It can be a statistic, a fact, a quote, or a data from your study. It is the how do you know part. So when you point out your ideas in your paragraph, it must be supported by evidence. Of course, academic writing is built on evidences. It is built on other people's work. So this is where citing other people's work go in. This is where presenting your data from your study comes in. This is where you can quote. This is where you bring in facts and so on. So this is where things that you read is compressed and summarized and presented as evidence to support the idea that you have. Okay, so this is the evidence. So this is presenting as how do you know part into that paragraph. Okay, so this is the evidence. And then you're going to have explanation. So this is the most important step. Here you explain what your evidence means and how it proves your point. You connect the what and the how do you know, right? So after you give all the evidence, all the link, all the sources that you want to connect, then you provide some explanation to connect what you have put in your point as well as the evidence and how does it connect together. Okay, so this is important as well. This is the critical part of your writing will be. So how do you explain how the evidence support your idea? How do you explain this evidence is relevant to the ideas that you are presenting? So the E here in the paragraph allows you to think critically, allows you to present your idea in a critical manner. And this will be the one that will differentiate you from, other postgraduate student or undergraduate students. Okay, so in undergraduates, they might not be able to give explanation to a point of analysis and synthesis. But if you're a postgraduate student, then you need to be able to synthesize how those evidence supported. In what way does it support? So this requires deep understanding of the topic that you are doing. This requires understanding of ideas within the field of your study. And this also means you need to have extensive understanding of the components of your study, because we're just talking about one paragraph here, and we're going to have how many paragraphs in our thesis? Hundreds and hundreds of paragraphs in our thesis. So which means we need to have a very extensive idea presented in our paragraph. Okay, and then the last part of this paragraph will be L, which is link. So this is the final sentence that summarizes the idea of the paragraph and provide a smooth transition to the next paragraph. Okay, some people disagree with summarizing a paragraph because they say we have written our point early on in the paragraph, we don't need to summarize it anymore. And some people say we need to summarize it so that there is a transition between this paragraph and the next one. So it all depends. Okay, depends on how your supervisors like to structure their paragraph and writing. There is no specific way to it. So this is just a guideline into how the paragraph can be written. But for me, I believe the final sentence of the paragraph should summarize the idea within that paragraph and provide a bridge between the idea to the next one. This makes reading easier, okay, for the supervisor, for the thesis committee, and so on. And when we write academic writing, we want people to understand it easily, right? We don't want to confuse people. So when people can read our ideas easily, then it is a bonus because it allows them to see our idea in a clear way and maybe grade our thesis in a better way because they understand it better instead of going back and forth, instead of, it is complicated and jumbled up and so on. So for me, I think link is very important in a paragraph so that it connects to the other. Okay, so if we go back, so we have peel, we call it peel, P-E-E-L. So first we have point, and then we have evidence, and then we have explanations, and then we have link. Okay, so if you feel that this is too simple, like, in high school, we write essay and then we have all of this and so on. Okay, so don't underestimate the simplicity of this concept, because this concept can be simple and it can also be complicated as well, depending on what you put within the point there. So if you are writing essay for your course assignment, then the point will be a bit simpler, the evidence is lesser, the explanation is less critical, and the link will also be very simple. But when you're writing your thesis, all of the components in there will be very extensive and will be more critical. So each component will need to have a body of knowledge and understanding for you to be able to do it. Okay, so peel allow us a clear view of how we approach writing. it allows us to arrange our writing in a way that is structured. It allows us to arrange our writing to say that it is evidence and to show that it is balanced. Okay, so in the explanation, you can also argue your points. So in the evidence, maybe the evidence contradict your ideas and your point, then the explanation will be the place where you argue your ideas within that particular paragraph. So again, so this peel method can be viewed from multiple perspectives and multiple level of complexity. So if you have this, if you get this done right, then you can have paragraph and paragraph that is very compact, well written, and well structured. Okay, so this is peel. I'm going to give some example. Is it clear so far? Is it clear, everyone? Or is it clear? If it's clear, can you just raise your hand? Okay, thank you, Selvi. Thank you, everyone, for raising your hand. Okay, so this is a sample paragraph. I know it's a bit small. Okay, I'm just going to read it. You can read it as well. Is it clear in your slide? I think if you're using your laptop, it should be big enough for you to see. Okay, so here it says here, engaging in regular physical activity is crucial for maintaining cognitive function, particularly as individuals age. Okay, for instance, a 2020 study published in the Journal of Gerontology found that participants over the age of 65 who engaged in at least 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week scored on average 20% higher on memory and problem-solving tests than their sedentary counterparts. So this is Smith and Jones 2023. Okay, so this significant difference suggests that physical exertion plays a direct role in protecting the neurological pathways associated with memory and executive function. By increasing blood flow to the brain, exercise may stimulate cell growth and combat the natural cognitive decline that often accompanies aging. Therefore, while the overall benefits of physical activity are clear, it is the specific impact on brain health that makes it a vital strategy for preserving mental acuity in later life. Okay, you can see that I've color-coded components of this paragraph. So the first one is the P, the point stated. The second one, the blue one, I hope you can see the color there. So the second one is the blue one. So that is the E, the evidence to support the point. Okay. And then the third one is the green one. So this is the explanation. You can see in the explanation, there is no quotation included within it. So explanation is where the author or us, the writer, tell us, voice out our ideas. So the criticality of the writing will be where this here. So the explanation here. And the last one, the L there, the link. So you can see there is a summary of it. And in the last part of the sentence, I see the vital strategy for preserving mental acuity in later life. So that can be the link to the next idea in the next paragraph. So this is a very good, compact, very well written paragraph which uses the peel method. And I believe this can be adapted to any genres of academic writing. It can be adjusted according to the genres of your academic writing, but this peel method allows us a clearer view of how our ideas can be arranged into a piece of writing. Okay, so I'm going to ask, is this how you write your paragraph in your academic writing? Because at the moment, most of you have at least some experience academic writing. Of course, in undergraduate, but for postgraduate students here, you should be able to have some ideas on how academic writing or paragraph writing works in academic context. Is this how you write your paragraph previously, or may I know? Anyone? Maybe you can write your answer in the chat box given there. Is this how you write your paragraph previously? Maybe during your proposal writing. Is this how you structure it? Yes, no, maybe. You can write yes, no, or maybe. Okay, can I get your responses? Okay. What Sitino say maybe. Okay, so maybe part of the paragraph is familiar and maybe the other part is not so much. Okay. How about the others? Maybe can I have a response from the other postgraduate students? Is this something that is familiar to you, or is this something that not the normal practice? Okay. Okay, so no response yet. Okay. Okay, so again, looking at this, I'm going to say that this peel method is applicable not just in English academic writing. Okay, so the examples and samples I given you here is for English academic writing, but I believe it is transferable, of course, to other language academic writings. For example, Malay academic writing. I think it can be written like this as well. The acronym will be different, of course. In Bahasa Indonesia academic writing, it can be written like this as well. But of course, the acronym will be different, but the structure will remain the same. Okay, regardless of the language of your academic writing. If you follow this, you should be able to be on track, inshallah. But all of this, it looks nice, right? It looks nice, macam, oh, so nice, so well written, and so on. Okay, but please know that this is the end product. This is what is done after it has been polished, after it has been redrafted, after it has been re-edited. Okay, so you can't look at your writing as something that is done, like this whole chunk there. It's like very nice, which nobody, I'm going to tell you this, nobody write straight away into that. So all of those parts will be as a draft. Okay, and then you're going to adjust it, you're going to arrange it, you're going to edit it, you're going to rewrite it until you feel happy with the final one. Okay, so samples here is nice to look at, but behind the scene there are quite a lot of other things. Okay, excuse me a bit. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, okay, next. Okay, we're gonna move on next. Okay, take a look at this. Okay, we have a look at the nice one. Let's look at the not so good one. Okay, so here, social media is a big problem for students today. A lot of people say it's very distracting. For instance, TikTok has over 1 billion users, which shows how much time is spent on these apps. Cyberbullying is also something that happens on social media, and it can be very harmful. Everyone is always on their phones. Okay, so I can say that this can be the first draft of any writing. Okay, so, and there is, yes, it is wrong because it is not nice yet. Okay, but it is not wrong, which means we will usually start with something like this. You know, we have some very basic idea, then we're just going to write it down. Okay, so looking at this paragraph here, what do you think can be improved? What can be improved on this paragraph? Okay, so maybe you can turn on your speaker if you wanna say something. Please do. What do you think is wrong with this paragraph? Anyone? And you want to say, if you don't want to turn on your speaker, you can also write in the chat. What do you think is wrong in this paragraph? Anyone want to share? It's a bit quiet here. I would actually expect students to be joining in and share everything.
Big
Okay.
problem. Change
Okay.
big problem to significant problem. Significant
Okay. Thank you, Sharin.
challenge.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of the structure, do you think this follow the peel structure? Point, evidence, explanation, link. Okay, so I get a response from Selvi. Okay, maybe it will be added to expert opinion to practice peel method. Okay, yes. Okay. And then Zaharin say many issue in one paragraph. Okay, so many things, like how can we adjust this to make it nice? So many issues in one paragraph. Does it follow peel? Roughly, very, very vaguely. It might follow peel, okay, but not really. But yes, but not really. Okay. So, okay, so this paragraph, you say when we read, it doesn't feel academic. It feels like one paragraph or one para for one citation. Okay, let me just look at the chat a bit. Manage one paragraph for citation. Okay, anyone else want to respond? So okay, I'm going to wait. Social media is a big problem for students today. A lot of people say it's very distracting. For instance, TikTok has over 1 billion users, which shows how much time is spent on this app. Cyberbullying is also something that happens on social media. It can be very harmful. Everyone is always on their phones. Okay, so one obvious thing which is missing here is the reference, is the sources to support whatever is written there. Okay, apart from sharing our voice, writing our ideas, those ideas needs to be supported or contradicted. Either way, it still need to have that. Okay, so that's one thing missing there. Okay, so let us see. Okay, so it does use peel method, but very roughly. So the first one, the first piece, social media is a big problem for students today. So that is a very vague point to give. So it should not be in a paragraph. If you want to say this sentence, it can be written in the introduction of your writing. It can be in the introduction part of your thesis, but not within a paragraph which deliver one specific idea. Okay, so here it is weak P, the first point. It is too vague and too subjective. So if you start your paragraph with something too vague and too subjective, it is difficult for you to narrow down the evidence, narrow down the explanation, and so on. So if you find that you have issues in not knowing how to support your ideas, it could be because the idea itself is vague. It's not clear, the idea. It's very broad. Because if the idea is broad, you need to look at it from multiple perspectives, which is very difficult to do. So those ideas must be specific. It must be one and it must be specific. So if you have a subtopic, so for example, social media is a big problem for students, maybe there is other point under problem. So what kind of problems? Is it means like mental health, contributing to mental health? In what way does it contribute to mental health? Is it because extensive exposure? Is it because of comparative, comparing them to the others and so on? So there must be a specific point that you put in your paragraph so that it is describable and explainable within that particular paragraph, so that your paragraph will not be too long. Okay, so your paragraph should be even in the sizes, in the length of the paragraph. So you cannot have one paragraph like one whole page of the thesis. No, it must be broken down into like different parts. So that's why we have one specific idea in one paragraph, so that we can narrow down the boundaries into the evidence that we put in the paragraph, as well as the explanation that we explain for that particular ideas. So this is needed for you so that your paragraph stays consistently the length, as well as it talks about just that one particular ideas only. Okay, and then the next one, poor evidence. Okay, weak and irrelevant. Okay, you see there, a lot of people say it's very distracting. A lot of people, who are these people? Okay, so you can use this in social media, orang cakap, ataupun maybe you want to see orang ni cakap atau ramai cakap, for example, right? But in academic writing, you cannot say that, because who are these people that talk about this? So it must be scholars within the field. It must be other research supporting those ideas in the field. So you cannot say a lot of people. So if you say a lot of people, it must be researchers, it might be scholars, and then you put reference behind it, okay? And then you say, for instance, TikTok has over 1 billion users, which shows how much time spent on this app. So there is a mismatch. Is how much time a big problem? Is it? So there's no clear link there, okay? So, and then there is missing E, which is the explanation. So it says that cyberbullying is also something that happens on social media and can be very harmful. So the explanation does not support the point. And it is a different topic altogether. So you should not be introducing this topic within this paragraph. It should be something by itself in a different paragraph, in a different subtopic altogether, okay? So, and then the last one, there is no link as well. It is just a vague ending to the paragraph. Everyone is always on their phones, okay? So that is not a very good ending or summary to the paragraph. So this paragraph jump from one point to the other without a clear structural or clear central idea. So once you have multiple things going on within a paragraph, it feels very confusing. It's difficult for people to read as well and follow your idea as well. So each of your paragraphs should be structured in a way so that it is a very clearly written, it flows nicely, and it is very pleasing to read as well. So if you read a sample thesis, which is very well written, you will see that they are following this kind of pattern. Like when you read, like, oh, very nice to read, very easy to understand, very easy to follow. If you look at the underlying structure, it will somehow show it like this. Okay, so is it clear, everyone? Is it clear? I'm afraid I might be talking to myself only. Okay, I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay, thank you, Sylvie, for responding. Okay, so this is a better one. Okay, from the same topic. Okay, so let's just read it to see how it changes. Okay, so we can imagine this to be the first draft, and we can say that this one is the final draft of the same paragraph. See how it changes. Okay, so here the pervasive nature of social media platform significantly hinders the ability of postgraduate students to maintain deep focus on their academic work. Okay, so the big issue is social media. The smaller issue is postgraduate student ability to focus. Okay, so this is very good because it mentioned about the broader issue, broader topic, and it zooms in on the topic for this particular paragraph. Okay, so the evidence given here, for example, a 2024 study from the University of Malaya found that students who received more than 50 social media notifications during a 2-hour study period scored on average 30% lower on a subsequent comprehension test than students who disable their notifications. So this is by Ahmad and Chan 2024. Okay, so this is the evidence to support this particular point given. Social media and then ability to focus to postgraduate. And the evidence given here also relevant to the point that is given because it talks about a study in 2 students, but it doesn't mention postgraduate, but it does show the link between the score of students who have notification in their phone and those who do not. Okay, and then you can see the third one is the explanation. So this 30% deficit highlights the disruptive power of constant digital interruptions. So each notifications pull a student's attention away from complex material, forcing their brain to switch context and consuming valuable cognitive energy. So this is the explanation part, and this is where you raise your voice. This is where you demonstrate your ability to synthesize ideas between point and evidence given. Okay, so this is very good. Therefore, the constant pull of social media represent a significant barrier to academic success, making it essential to explore strategies students can adopt to manage their digital environment. Okay, so this is the link that summarizes the point in this particular paragraph and also introduces point for the next paragraph. So the next paragraph might be able to talk about strategies students can cope to manage their digital environment. Okay, so this is a better paragraph compared to this one. Okay, but realistically, we are going to start with this. And it is definitely okay to start with this. Okay, and whatever writing that we produce will go through stages and we go to phases of addition, which means we're going to edit our writing, we're going to change our ideas, we're going to adjust evidence, we're going to change explanations and so on. So we are continuously do that, and that is part of the process of academic writing. And it is a very strenuous process. It is a very extensive and tiring process, but this whole process allow us to refine our thinking and allow us to be members of the scholarly or academic world. If we bypass this using something else, then it defeats the purpose altogether. So the reason why writing produced by students, or the reason why we write our thesis, is so that we can demonstrate the thinking behind it, because writing is thinking. So if the writing is done by something else or someone else, it doesn't show thinking. So it is very tempting, I know, to take a shortcut using whatever tools available now, especially, okay? But to maintain integrity as postgraduate student and members of this academic community, we need to understand the process of writing and what writing means and what writing demonstrate our ability. So it is going to be very, very difficult. I admit that because I'm also a PhD student, and it is highly difficult, and that is what makes us who we are in the academic environment. Okay, so we're done with this one. Okay, so I think I might finish a bit early because I was actually expecting group activities and so on, but because not many postgraduate students are here, I think we might go back to some of the parts here. Maybe we can discuss it, and we can go back to the exercises, especially the one on sentences just now. Okay, so this is in terms of using sources correctly. So this is the third part or the last part of this workshop. Again, this will not be as extensive. There will be, I know there will be other workshop and so on that talks about this very extensively, but because this workshop is the introductory for academic writing and touching on the basics, so the extensive one, maybe you can look it up further. Okay, so using sources correctly. So citing works of others. So academic writing requires scholars to cite and give credit to works of others that you include in the writing. Okay, so of course, our ideas are not new. It has been done before, and it has been viewed from different perspectives. So whatever idea that we shared, it should be supported by evidence. And those evidence is in a way citing the works of others. Okay, so not doing so means engaging in plagiarism, and this is a serious academic offense. And I know all higher education institutions will have their own way of analyzing how writing is plagiarized or not. There is a certain parameter set, how much of the writing can be seen as plagiarized or how much is paraphrasing and so on. So citing works of others is something that is ongoing, a skill that needs to be developed and needs to be edited and looked through very thoroughly before you are submitting any academic writing that you are producing. Okay, so some plagiarized work are done unintentionally. It can be due to lack of knowledge in terms of summarizing other people's work, or it could be because maybe the plagiarism detection software detected gives you error and something like that. But if you have written your writing by yourself and it still turns out with elements of plagiarism in it, it means that you need to edit your paper a bit more so that it is not similar to existing body of work out there. Okay, so so yes, plagiarism is something that is, of course, it is very, it is an issue now, especially to lecturers and to students alike. So now that we are using the AI and we have AI tool that bypass all this plagiarism software and so on, so that is an issue by itself. Okay, so just on citing work of others, I'm just going to go to the very basic example. So if you see this sentence in any source, okay, so here, the rapid urbanization of Kuala Lumpur has led to significant challenges in waste management and public transportation infrastructure. So you will be able to see this. You see this in, you know, in article. Maybe this is the conclusion of the research article that you're looking for, and then you like that idea, you want to include that in your writing. Okay, so how do we take this idea into our own writing? How do we take those ideas in an ethical manner so that we can include that as part of the evidence in our paragraph, as part of the support of the idea that we are presenting? Okay, so if it is a direct quote, you can just use open quote, close quote, of course, and you credit it by writing the author as well as the year. So this is the referencing way of writing it. So Tan 2024 states that the rapid urbanization of Kuala Lumpur has led to significant challenges in key areas. So you take part or chunk of that original source, you put it into your writing and you put an open quote and close quote. So this is the easiest one to do, but it cannot be done too often. Because if most of your evidence is written in this way, it feels like there is no summarization method done into your writing. There is no analyzing done into your writing. It feels like you lift this and put it there. If you copy, paste, and so on. So it doesn't reflect well on you as an author or the writer of your academic writing. So this is a direct quote. It can be used sparingly, and it can be used specifically if it is for key idea or central idea by famous scholar in the field, which has a strong significance. So I think this can be done if those ideas are very strong and very famous within your field of study. So that can be done. Okay. If it is paraphrased, it can be done like this. The growth of Kuala Lumpur has created considerable problems for services like public transport and waste disposal. Okay, so here it is a paraphrase because structurally it is different from the original one, and in terms of the word choice, there is a change in it as well. So paraphrase in this context not just change the structure of the sentence, but also the word selection within that sentence. Okay, so the growth of Kuala Lumpur has created considerable problem for services like public transport and waste disposal. Of course, we put the source there, Tan 2024. If it is plagiarism, it might look like this. The quick urbanization of Kuala Lumpur has resulted in major challenges in waste management and public transport. So the quick urbanization of Kuala Lumpur has resulted in major challenges in waste management and public transport. So this is considered plagiarism because it's what we call patch writing. Patch writing. So patch writing is you remain the original structure, but you just change one or two or three words or term within that sentence. So that is considered plagiarism because changes to the original sentence is very minimal and it still feel like it is written using the original source idea or the original source writer's idea. So this is plagiarism still because it is very similar in nature to the original one. Okay, example in here. So plagiarism for this one, and also there is no mention about the source. So where is the source? TAN 2024. So there's no source here. So that becomes plagiarism by itself because if you run this into plagiarism software, okay, then you will see that this is originally written by TAN 2024 and you need to remove this and so on. So patchwork is where you change. If you look at the original quote, if you look at the original source, just gonna look back. So here, rapid urbanization of Kuala Lumpur. So in the plagiarism, it becomes, I'm just gonna go back and forth, rapid becomes quick. So it just changes, very superficial changes to the sentence, and then there is no structural changes into it. Okay, so that is considered plagiarism. So sometimes when we learn about this, it is very clear now. Now it is very clear now. Okay, but it is something that requires habit and requires integrity for you to consistently paraphrase sentences based on the original source. Okay, because sometimes when we are tired or when we're just drafting our ideas, we might just take the original source and we put it into our writing, and then we might say, oh, we're going to paraphrase this later on, but then we forgot, and then we just plagiarize it because we forgot whether it is our own sentence or is it something that is written by someone else. So managing your writing is needed. Maybe you can have color coded in your writing to see the original source and then maybe your own writing underneath it to paraphrase and so on. So this requires like conscious effort for you to actually have essay so that it is very well written. Okay, okay, yes, Miss Sri, they have classes over there, so they're going to have to leave the session. It's okay. Maybe later on I can share the slides with the participants. Okay, let's look at another one. Okay, so this one is on the rapid adoption of digital technologies such as e-commerce platform and online payment system has fundamentally reshaped the operational landscape for small and medium-sized enterprise SMEs in Malaysia. This digital transformation offers unprecedented opportunities for market expansion, but simultaneously presents significant challenges related to cybersecurity and the need for new digital skills. So this is by Ibrahim, 2024. Okay, so this is the source. It talks about digital technology, e-commerce platform, online payment system, SMEs, opportunity for market expansion and so on. Okay, take a look at the next slide. So here, this is considered bad paraphrase because you can see the word that I highlighted. The fast adoption of digital tools like e-commerce and online payment has basically changed the way SMEs in Malaysia operate. So you can see, look at the first one. This one, a rapid adoption. This one, fast adoption. So this is very superficial changes made into the paraphrase, which means it doesn't feel like this author or this writer is interested in understanding the idea rather than just taking the idea as a whole and just make some changes into it. So this is a bad paraphrase, and the word change originally is reshape. Okay, so you just change the vocabulary of the paragraph instead of coming up with your own. So this one, even if you cite at the end Ibrahim 2024, it is still plagiarism. It is still a bad paraphrase. Okay, it doesn't show understanding of the idea presented by Ibrahim. Rather, it's just a lift, a copy and paste of the idea with superficial changes made to it. Okay, let's look at, I don't know if they provide examples of the better one. Okay, so this one, it follows the original sentence structure too closely. It mostly just swaps out a few words for synonym, and it does not show a true understanding of the original idea. So this is very, this will differ if it is an examiner for your thesis, then they will be able to clearly see that understanding of the issue is not there, could be, or it can also show that plagiarism within that particular paragraph, because the examiner will also get reports of your plagiarism detector and so on. So it will show where those paragraph comes from and so on. So there will always be people who can cross-check the original source with the one into your writing. So by having bad paraphrase, it will not get you now, but in the future you might be found out. And when that happens, it might be bad, because you need to redo the whole thing and so on. So yes, bad paraphrasing will not be good for us in the future. Okay, so this is the good paraphrase. Okay, so according to Ibrahim 2024, Malaysian small and medium enterprise SMEs are navigating a new business environment driven by digitalization. While technologies like e-commerce provide avenues for growth, businesses must also overcome crucial obstacles, including enhancing their cybersecurity measures and developing a workforce with modern digital competencies. So this is a good paraphrase because the central idea still remain, but there is expansion within the paraphrase. Okay, so there is a question by Puan Siti No. Okay, how about using paraphrase tool like Quillbot? Is it allowed? Okay, so I think this, okay, this depends on the institution itself. This depends on the institution itself. Okay, using tools like Quillbot allow us to input the source, and then we can customize the output to be paraphrased into different types of English academic writing. Okay, I would say you can use it sparingly, and even if it is used, it is still considered AI usage as well. So Quillbot can also be considered like AI use into writing, and I'm not sure whether it will appear in the AI detection tool at the end of the report for the writing. So this depends on university, this depends on discussion with supervisors and so on. So if Quillbot does assist in paraphrasing ideas, it is still a raw draft. Okay, it is still a raw draft. So if you input source, for example, if we input this source, okay, this source into Quillbot, for example, and then it provide you with an output. So it is still a raw draft that needs to be fit into your paragraph writing. The PEL just now, PEL. So the output for that will be put as evidence, as the E in your paragraph. And again, you can't be taking it like the whole chunk, ambil copy and then paste as evidence. There is still need adjustment, personal touch, to match it with the point that you are sharing. Okay, so I would say using Quillbot is allowed to a certain extent, but it is still require understanding on our part. It is a tool to simplify and streamline the writing process, but adjusting, fitting it, and matching it with the ideas that we are writing still needs our role as the academic writer. So I'm going to say it is a good tool to use, to somehow simplify the process of paraphrasing, or simplify the process of summarizing ideas within the source and so on. But still, it is still a raw output which needs to be polished, adjusted, streamlined to match the ideas that we have in our paragraph. So thank you for the question, Masitino. I think because we have a lot of AI tools now, so it is something that we have to discuss about, not just here in this context, but with your supervisor, with the university as well, to see how much those AI tool can contribute to be considered as AI. So those depends on university, I believe. I think in UIS we need to see whether those is reflected in the AI report. So I'm not really sure. If it does, then maybe there is another way we need to use that raw output and then put it into our writing, and we have another process of editing to make it ours in the future. Okay, and then next, bad paraphrase. Okay, so this is the why. Why is it good? I think just going to go quickly on this. It completely restructures the sentences and present the information in a new order. It uses different vocabulary to convey the same core meaning, and it clearly demonstrates the writer's understanding of the original idea and now explaining it in their own words. So this is a good paraphrase because ideas are used, central idea is used, but it is written in the author's own writing, in the author's own voice, in the author's own sentences and so on. Okay. This is very difficult to do. Very difficult to do. So that's why there are so many tools available now for you to, like input all of that, and then output is given, just copy and paste, and so on. So I'm not sure how all of this contributed to bypassing the whole writing process altogether. Okay, but we can discuss after this. Okay. Okay. So I think this is a few last slide that I have. So essential toolkit. So Grammarly should be very essential. If you can have a Grammarly plug-in within all of your writing system, into your Microsoft Word, into your Chrome, into your whatever that you have, you can have a plug-in on it. So I believe Grammarly is very, very, very useful, especially if you're writing in English, because Grammarly does not write sentences for you, of course. It will edit and check. It can check minor grammatical errors which appear in your writing, which helps you in seeing things that you might not be able to see. It can be the first part of the editing process. So if you can just write without worrying about grammar and so on. So Grammarly will look at the grammar part and so on, and then make suggestions to improve it. But your idea is still there. Again, Zotero and Mendeley will be the reference manager that you have, so you can have plug-in into your Word as well. Academic Phrase Bank. There is also Ref and Write. There are so many tools available for researchers now. Ref and Write, you can have plug-in into your Word, where you can have Academic Phrase Bank available to you when you're writing. So that is a very good way to write as well. And then we have the large language model, which is AI. Okay, which is AI. So I think now we have, I don't know, it keeps on popping up every single month. Okay, so there will be, I'm going to say, I don't know, if you say AI tool for research, there will be a lot of Google search results that gives you options. You can use this, you can use that, you can use, the most common one is ChatGPT, and we have Gemini, and we have that is for writing or for general purposes. And then we have SciSpace, we have Research Rabbit. It is even highly specific to certain field. So maybe in sciences they have these AI tools. In social sciences this, in multimedia and software there is another. So I'm going to say that you have to use it with caution. It can be very useful. It can be very useful to use if you are giving it non-essential task. Okay, like administrative, arranging, or idea generation or discussion. You give them prompt to discuss and to argue, so that allows you to maybe see it from different perspective. But it cannot be, it is still not relevant or still not accurate in terms of producing a whole piece of writing. It will give you references which is non-existent in the academic research. So it might give you a link, which for example, TAN 2024. So TAN doesn't even exist and so on. So I would say using LLM in our writing, it must be done with knowledge. Okay, it must be done with a certain consciousness, so that you still take control of the idea generation, ownership, and so on, so that the end writing is actually produced by you, okay, instead of by this large language model or AI tools. Okay, so I think that is my last slide. Okay, that is my last. I think we finish it quite quickly. So do we want to go back to the exercise on paragraph, or we just do discussion? Puan Suzy?